Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am your host, Daniel Atai. In a democracy, matters involving the number one citizen of the country, especially on security threats to his life and well-being, is paramount for the citizens to know and be abreast with. Any threat to the commander-in-chief and his cabinet could hamper not only his blueprint for the country, but the confidence reposed on him to actualize his blueprint for development. No gainsaying that at the moment, many believe that the poisonous attack on the person of Mr. President has threatened his initial zeal to emancipating the country from the endemic corruption that encapsulated all facets of the Nigeria's enterprises and nationhood. Though a new vigor was rekindled in the fight as he dared even members of his own party and cabinet. Nevertheless, we wish under democratic tenets to know those who perpetrated the dastardly act. How could the president be threatened, poisoned by corrupt people who should not be shielded from justice, especially as it portends national threat to our nascent democracy, the fight against corruption, and the development of the country. So, welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigerian, as we x-ray this topic according to episodes from investigations gathered about events surrounding that ugly act. I am Daniel Atai. Please stay tuned after this time out.
The issue here we have to begin to look at is that at the time of independence, I don't know if there was a trajectory to where we are going to.
But how could it be that credible, free and fair under manual conduct of election?
That is where our problem lies, and that is why people are now seeing that, advising that we should move, that the world has gone into digital. We should move from the manual to the digital.
We cannot keep doing same thing and expecting a different result.
The only way you create jobs from your ministry is that you have to encourage local content.
If you look at the profile of Salimama,
there is a caveat in this leave given to him. He should seek medical help if he is fine.
Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I have in the studio of Television Nigerian Barrister Ilya Aliu, a legal practitioner and a partner with Bongavile Solicitors. He is a member of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, a fellow Institute of Management Consultants, Notary Public of Nigeria. Barrister, you are welcome to Spectacle.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Barrister, I was going to ask you before we watch the background report from 247U report and Desert Herald in 2017. First of all, that was it a poison or a speculation that the president was attacked or poisoned at that time?
Well, generally speaking, poison has so many dimensions.
Okay.
When you talk of poison, to my mind, people going against the interests of government, that is another set of poison. Anybody who is not happy to see that this government come to light, its blueprints have been actualized, they will do everything possible to see that those dreams have not come to light. And those things they do, that is to my own understanding, is a form of poison.
Okay.
Another angle to it, some people in government, but they are not happy that the government come into power. They will do everything possible to frustrate the successes of this government.
Right.
That is also another line of poison. This government has been voted massively by people to ensuring that insecurity has been curbed, corruption has been silent, and our economy has been revamped. But any effort against this interest is seen to be a poison. Another angle to poison, to my own belief, is the fake drugs we have.
Okay.
I wouldn't know if that is the poison that I said to have been attacked.
Okay.
But the fake drugs we have, wherein you see today NDLEA, the NAFDAC have been fighting the fake drugs here and there. We have fake doctors, we have fake pharmacies, all little around the country.
Okay, you mean fake drugs?
Fake drugs, that's what I mean.
All right.
So all these things are another line or another dimension to poison. So if for any reason somebody smuggled any of these fake drugs to the president's house and then happened to put in any of his food, the president take it or inhale it, whatever means possible that they attack him, in order to see that all his dreams have not come to light, it is a form of poison. And that, like you said, is not just affecting the person in position of the president, but it affects the whole country, because anything that touches the president touches the whole of Nigerians. And that we have to, as a matter of fact, get to the root of the cause, how it happened, where it happened, and then who are those behind the poison.
All right, thank you. We will take a background report when we come back. You may understand very well, because we're talking about the physical poison and the events that surround what happened to Mr. President. And why we are bringing this up is to know whether the threat of that poison, the effect of that poison or ailment has made the president a kind of want to compromise his initial zeal to fighting corruption and attacking the endemic corrupt personalities that have a kind of seized this country or put this country into a total mess. I think we can have that first report from 247U report, and to be followed by the Desert Herald. Let's have it. Who poisoned Buhari in 2017? For what and why? And if we may ask, has that threatened his initial enthusiasm to fighting corruption? President Buhari was poisoned, says security source. And it went on to say top government officials fingered by 247U reports of October 1st, 2017. After taking over the mantle of leadership from the past government of ex-President Goodluck Jonathan in May 2015, President Muhammadu Buhari has faced various challenges from individuals and groups who may not be happy with the running of government, or those who never wished he should be there. Many believed that for those who are not comfortable with the running of the government, it is because the Fed schemed out and not given much access to take part in decision-making or dictate for the president. However, an online news, which is a media outlet, had exclusively reported in January 2017 how the president was poisoned, and clandestinely the Department of State Services (GSS) had been able to ascertain the perpetrators. While some arrests have been made over months ago at the time, more confessions were opened to the public domain on the dastardly act. Reliably, we have gathered that about 4 top personalities in the country, including the top woman, both in government and outside the corridors of power, were fingered and identified as culprits in the course of investigation. Unfortunately, without mincing words, a former head of government, top political leader, 2 government appointees of PMB, and a renowned woman did orchestrated the plot to poison President Buhari. As gathered, their aim was very simple: to get rid of the president early enough and change the power game in their favor, by way of taking control of all the paraphernalia of running the government. Meanwhile, the plan initially was to use the Senate lawmakers to frustrate the government, but to their great dismay, Senate President Bukola Saraki was not cooperative. Hence, they resort to Plan B, that is the poisoning of the president, which in most cases of such, only 5% victims can survive. Further, recall another online media, the Desert Herald, had corroborated the exclusive report of an online media on the poisoning of President Muhammad Buhari. In that same report, it was confirmed that a maintenance register meant for keeping records of staff who handles daily work at the residence of Mr. President conspicuously missing. It couldn't be unconnected to such nefarious act by those meant to protect the interests of the president. A plan indeed well coordinated. Sources say the reason why President Buhari had to go through much medical attention is to ensure that he was fully quarantined, by way of eliminating any atom trace of the deadly poison from his body system. 1 in several million could ever survive the said chemical poisoning used in the air conditioner of the president's personal room. 247eureport.com authoritatively confirmed that all the rumor alluding that President Buhari had cancer and facing chemotherapy in London hospital were all lies sponsored by the same culprit just to divert attention of gullible Nigerians. In the event the investigation on their act comes to public notice. Also, 247euroreport.com gathered that the Department of State Services (DSS) worked assiduously and a milestone was perhaps reached. But one wonders why Nigerians were not intimated on development regarding this tragic discovery as pertaining their number 1 citizen whom they voted massively to fight corruption, insecurity, and revamp the economy. Understandably, we gathered reliably that the sole idea behind this sinister act perpetrated by these ungodly folks was to discredit the government of President Buhari. This they intend to achieve had their planned poisoning led to demise of the president, all his appointees and associates like Chief of Staff Abba Kyari, late, Attorney General of the Federation Abubakar Malami, DG DSS Lawal, M. Daura, General A.B. Dambazo, Lieutenant General T.Y. Boratai, Alhaji Haman Daura, et al. Would be roped into a fake fraudulent corrupt transaction and subsequently humiliated using one of those who was part of their planned act. All thanks to the intelligent DG DSS Lawal Daura, who has painstakingly carried out a tactful investigation to unravel these clandestine evil motives. Nigerians have called on the presidency to speak with them regarding the health of President Buhari. However, 247eureport.com sources confirmed that Mr. President would not speak on the matter for the sake of political stability, and to date, we are still wondering why all the investigations leading to that dastardly act could just be jettisoned by Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief, perhaps for love of the country. The Spectacle wish to analyze this as part of investigative journalism, perhaps that the country and the citizens who so much love their president in order to put the country on a pedestal of perfect change and continuity in government to at least reveal those evil people who are still alive, because they could again perpetrate their dastardly act on another.
Spectacle on television Nigerian.
Nevertheless, we have to understand the threats against Buhari then and why the poison was orchestrated. It was obvious that President Buhari has either underestimated the extent of those he became a threat to could go in an attempt to frustrate or even destroy him, or he has taken so many things for granted. He might also have entrusted sensitive responsibilities on people that either lack sufficient knowledge of their jobs or those that can easily be used and compromised. Clearly, the threats are many and from all directions. Many of them are avoidable and could have prevented unnecessary distraction from the mission and vision he set for himself to achieve as a president. First, there is the Shiite issue and the Iranian connection. For those that know the Shiites, its ideology, connection, cult-like fellowship and influence in almost every part of the country and society, the Zaria killings would have been prevented by all means, while the aftermath that saw the arrest of its leader and many others would have been so mismanaged at the instance of the president. While the Shiite issue has become a serious national security dilemma, the approach of the president and the government's handling of the massacre of its members and the continued incarceration of its spiritual leader then, Sheikh Ibrahim el-Zakzaky, despite court orders according to many, will not in any way solve the problem, especially for a government that has a mandate of only 4 years and maximum of 8 years. At the time, the government appears to be in dilemma on the issue of el-Zakzaky. The fear of releasing el-Zakzaky and seeing him in his new look and what it may trigger among his followers was also an issue of concern for the federal government, while the Shiite movement has undoubtedly become a serious national security issue and a time bomb then. The Iranian government is clearly not happy with President Muhammadu Buhari on el-Zakzaky and the handling of the Shiite issue in Nigeria. The second factor that exposes Mr. Buhari to danger is his anti-corruption crusade. Though noble and highly commendable, his detractors, mostly the powerful corrupt elements, read betrayal and vendetta in it. They said the president had during the campaign promised to draw the lines in his anti-corruption war and concentrate from where he started, but failed to do so on assumption of office, because the president said in his statement that he is for everybody and he is for nobody, extending the fight against corruption to the immediate past regime of Mr. Goodluck Jonathan. They said while the arms probe has affected many, those close to the president, like the Minister of Interior, General Abdul Rahman Dambazo, retired, were not affected, thereby reading selectivity and vendetta. Casualties of the anti-corruption war, like Colonel Sabu Dasuki, retired, late Air Vice Marshal Alex Badi, Dame Patient Jonathan, the wife of the former president, and many others were and are so powerful, connected, and rich, hence poised a threat to Mr. President. They know the secret of the villa more than the present occupants.
Spectacle on television Nigerian.
Barrister Leo, from the background report that you see that the Desert Herald and the 247U report gathered some investigation that up till now we don't know, we couldn't say that the president, for the love of the nation, wouldn't want to unveil these people, but being a lawyer and as citizens of the country, don't you think that anything that would threaten the audacity of Mr. President to leadership should be known by the citizens?
Well, that is very correct. And like I said earlier, the Mr. President is there not because he is there for his name.
Okay.
He is there because of the citizens of the country.
Yes.
As such, anything around Mr. President must be known by the citizens of the country. However, Nigeria, we must know that it's a very complex society. And if you are in government, there are many ways to address Nigerians' problems. Which one? You have to strike a balance between legality, morality, and politics.
Okay.
Reason is this. There are certain things that perhaps may be seen to be illegal, but you have to weigh and appreciate whether the illegality said to have been perpetrated will cause more harm in the society in terms of the political arrangement to its citizenry, or the political angle to that particular problem outweigh the legality or illegality of that act. These are issues you must bring to Bona before certain disclosures are made to the citizens. You are at the helm of affairs, at the level of the president, there are so many information that the presidents usually gather in 24 hours. And if those informations are laid to bear to every citizens of Nigeria, I don't think there will be a country called Nigeria. We have people that are highly influential in this country. They are so powerful in all ramifications. They are ready to do anything possible to see that their interest is under seal. And any arrangement or any effort by any individual or group to unravel or to expose that which they are benefiting would definitely meet with Waterloo. And I'm telling you that perhaps may be some of the reasons why the president decide to remain mute as far as these issues surrounding the report of his being poisoned as laid bare by 24 hours EU report.
Yes, for the sake of national interest and national harmony. You know, a lot of people couldn't see that, let me say, benevolence of Mr. President from that angle, that for the interest of unity in the country, the DSS, the NIA, and the rest of the security operatives couldn't go ahead to unveil those alleged to have poisoned Mr. President, like you said. We could say it's a patriotic act, but as citizens, one would want to ask if that has actually threatened his initial zeal, like we said, to the fight against corruption, and then also his sagacity, especially some statements that he made that he is for everybody and for nobody. He couldn't, whether he would kind of mind his business because of that threat of poison, not to go ahead with certain action against corrupt personalities in the country.
You see, I think anybody in the shoe of the president would definitely be demoralized by those attempts and effort of individuals to scuttle whatever thing he has good for this country. The Mr. President came in with lovable and very nice intentions for the development of this country, which all of us, from the beginning of his leadership, we all believe the enthusiasm, the zeal, the determination he come with. But along the line, like you said, this issue came in, And in Nigeria, as students of history, we must appreciate the fact that this is not the first time some of these things are happening in this country. During Abacha regime, we've had instances where the circumstances that led to the death of Abacha, till today, nobody has come out to say in clear and authoritative terms who killed Abacha, that is how he was killed, the circumstances and all that surround his death. In all governments, preceding government even before this particular one, where in a situation they realize that the head of the government or anybody powerful and influential in that government has beautiful programs for the country, they would do everything possible
to terminate him.
To terminate that person. This happened during Abacha, like I said. During late Musa Umaru Yar'Adua, the same thing happened because with the circumstance of the death that led to the death of President Umaru Yar'Adua till today has not been known. That the one of Buhari, which
was it that those things were not known by the Department of State Security Services, or they decided to conceal it for national interest or national harmony?
Like I said, it's not everything you see at that level in the intelligence community that you expose to the public. If some of these issues or some of these informations are made public, I am telling you, you and I would not have been here sitting down to discuss this issue.
But
for the overall interest,
yes, and
they will look at the overall interest of the country and citizens, which between concealing this information and revealing this information will better serve the interest of the country. To my mind, they look at it and they have convincingly agreed that the best way to serve the interest of the country is to lay this thing down, conceal it. In the fullest of time, history will definitely say all this.
Okay, you remember when Aisha, the wife of the president, returned from London and broke the news to us, to Nigerians, that the president was hale and hearty. She made some emphatic statements that the lions, the jackals, the leopard, and so on, who attempted to murder her husband, they were going to be dealt with, you understand? And I think you remember that statement. And of course, we will also deal with the issue, maybe tomorrow, subsequently, the visit of the Archbishop of Canterbury, Mr. Well, who said emphatically that the president was poisoned, you understand, against the purported report from Sahara reporters that Mr. President was never poisoned, but the president had issue of prostate cancer, and he was already going to London for treatment, and this couldn't be poisoned, but the political gladiators or northern oligarchy wanted to blame it on poison should the president died. You understand? From that Aisha's revelation and the Archbishop of Canterbury revelation, don't you think that the country, of course, the citizens ought to know, or is it democratic to conceal certain information?
Well, those informations, like I say, are too sensitive for the well-being.
You have said it.
And the unity of this country.
Okay.
And such, that might be why those information are still under concealment.
Okay, good. In that regard, do you see that circumstance of the poison that almost took the life of Mr. President, or if we could say allegedly aimed, do you see that as a threat to his capacity to deliver in his three cardinal agenda, namely fight against insecurity, fight against endemic corruption, and the revamping of the economy?
Well, if it is true that there was poison attack on the president. Not just even at my age. If I survive through that process, I don't think I will be fit and proper to pursue whatever agenda I have. The truth of the matter is that, like I said earlier, whether physically, psychologically, certainly one must be demoralized.
Yes.
Because if you come with the zeal and determination to execute certain acts, and you meet a strong obstacle within and without, they have powers, they have money, they have influence, they have connections, and they have their men in government that they can always achieve whatever they set to achieve for themselves. You dare not say that you have this agenda and you alone will pursue that agenda and see to light. That is very, to my mind, very, very impossible.
Okay.
Very, very impossible. And that may be why the like you rightly pointed out, Mr. President is being called, is being incapacitated in terms of executing his act because he is only standing alone.
He's standing alone.
He's standing alone. Most of the people around the government are people that are not, they have no key into the agenda of Mr. President. And whether you like it or not, at that level, your own is to supervise, you are just to pass instruction. Some people need to do the jobs.
Yes.
And those jobs, in line of executing it, you have these people infiltrated along the line to see that those things do not come to light. I will give you one example. In this country, there was a time the then CNC, General Sani Abacha, gave an instruction. He was on his way to Libya, standing waiting for the instruction. He minuted on a file taken to a particular office. The office director is supposed to have minutes back and the file be taken back to the press. He was waiting on his way to Libya. To the surprise of many, Abacha, whom everybody believed as CNC, in his khaki,
Commander-in-Chief.
Commander-in-Chief, the man that talks less and acts more. This file was not returned to him up to when Abacha left this country for Libya. And you think if at that level, where there were a lot of shortcuts to bureaucratic arrangements, yet he could not do anything. Tell me now that we are practicing democracy. When you attempt to do this, you have to subject it to scrutiny by the National Assembly. You have to subject it to scrutiny by the judiciary. You have to do a lot of things. You don't have that unilateral power. You cannot take any decision arbitrarily to achieve whatever goal you think is the best for Nigeria. So, whether we like it or not, we must appreciate the fact that Buhari, as Nigerian president, no matter how powerful he might be, no matter how beautiful his agendas are, he cannot achieve those agendas alone. Some people behind the government, some people outside the government, and even citizens who are not in government must key in. They must bring their hands on deck to achieving that agenda. But we are in a situation, he has it here, he's going the right way, and the other person is going left, or the other persons that ought to have key into that are going the left side. I don't think we are ready to achieve whatever anybody has, no matter how lofty those agendas are.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Barrister Aliyu. And from the point you have just released so far shows that governance and the government is not all about the number one citizen alone, and it has to go pari passu with the cabinet and the populace, which are the masses, and that is why we are trying to bring this investigative reportage to see if it is still posing as a threat to the president's ability to deliver in certain promises. Though we are saying that despite that, he is still fighting corruption, even within his party, the APC, and within his cabinet. We can see what is happening between the Attorney General and the former EFCC chairman. What is that his name? Former EFCC chairman. What is that his name? I escaped.
Ibrahim Magu.
Ibrahim Magu. Right now, those people are still within the cabinet of Mr. President. And what is happening, the insecurity that Buratai is fighting headlong, we can also see how some people are also using the media to bring down the effort of the Nigerian armed forces, those things. And that is why it is paramount to know how could a nation orchestrate, or certain persons orchestrate the murder of a sitting CNC commander-in-chief, namely Abacha, and then try to orchestrate or probably the murder or sudden demise of a democratic president in the person of Yaradua. This is a sensitive matter. And then suddenly, when the Buhari came onto power, he was allegedly poisoned, and reports from here and there, even from people in his cabinet, including his wife, you understand, and issued statement. And one of his best friends, the person of Archbishop of Canterbury, emphatically made such statement. And up to now, 2 years or 3 years gone the line, and people, no revelation. And who knows whether this country is ready to move forward or not. That is why we are bringing it up. We are confident and both to bring this up to see whether something has to be done to cheer the president to continue in his blueprint for the country. If you have one or two things to say before we round it up, and tomorrow we'll continue with another expert. We'll bring the angle of the Bishop of Canterbury and that of Aisha Buhari to board, and we analyze.
What I want to say that as Nigerians, we must believe in ourselves. One. Secondly, whether we like it or not, there are corruptions at the local level, and we must have to appreciate. There are corruption at the state level, and we must have to appreciate. There are also corruptions at the federal level, and that we must have to appreciate. All we need do as citizens is to join hands to propose a mechanism that will help in checking this corruption. An individual or a group alone can't do it. And this corruption does not really mean it happens only in government. At every strata of life, we have corruptions, as far as this country is concerned. If you go to the motor park today,
we know we have this corruption. But do you see us getting out of the corruption and the quagmire, the endemic corruption and the quagmire of underdevelopment, if we continue, if the lives of 1, 2, 3 presidents or head of state could be threatened to that level of murder?
Yes. What I say is that we need to believe in ourselves. Set a goal that this is where we're heading to and this is what we want to achieve. As citizens of this country, all we need to do is to first agree that all of us are one and we must achieve development in this country. Once we agree on that, the issue of self-discipline comes into bear. Everybody will now imbibe the culture of discipline. And if you are disciplined, it then means, therefore, that you are not ready to go or derail from the government norms, values, and expectations.
Okay.
It means that you are ready at all times to see that the right thing is done. And in that circumstance, these are areas that will help in checking out some of these elements within. If you see anything that certainly will thwart the effort of government in any direction, you will expose it. And this information, like you just said, the CNC dying on seat, the president being poisoned, alleged to have been poisoned, the later president, democratically elected president, said to have been killed sudden demise of the later president of the country. This under such arrangement, by the time all of us agree to fight for common cause, you will see that those information, whether one try to conceal it or you try to reveal it, it on its own will expose itself. And all those behind it will now make public.
All right, listeners and audience who are watching, we'll just give you 5 minutes to react if you have anything to say. I think the numbers to call are displayed on the screen. You can use the MTN line to actually reach us via WhatsApp, and it is 081-3701-5949. I repeat, 081-3701-5949 via WhatsApp, or you could call 070-5432-7616 to give us your civil comment or take. While I and you, we are still in the studio, so we wait for the call. And I think our Zoom line is displayed too. Our Zoom handle is displayed, but you can use the number because we just have 5 minutes to exit the studio. Mr. Liu,
yes,
if the wife of Mr. President could and his best friend could emphatically exaggerate, not exaggeration, bring that to bear, that some certain orchestration was to terminate the life of the president. Is it bad for I and you to talk about it?
It's not bad, but there are certain privileged information that they are armed with, which you and I
don't have.
So whenever you are talking on issues as sensitive as that, you must be properly informed.
Yes, from the angle of the report.
From the report you have, yes, you can analyze based on that, because I will also agree with you to that extent that up to this moment, there is no counter report on what the Desert Herald and 247ureport.com have said. They are privileged. In you guys in the media, you have what you call investigative journalism.
Exactly.
They must have come across certain information that I am not in a position to say it here.
Yes.
So for the wife of the president to make the statement she made, I want to believe she was privileged to have certain information that perhaps, even though she's not in a position to say what she said as being the wife of the president, but she had said it believing what she said is true.
Yeah.
Likewise, his best friend mentioning what happened, it means he is also privileged to certain information at the top echelon, at that level of Mr. President. For me, as a citizen of this country, I concern one for that matter.
Yes.
And
a legal practitioner.
A legal practitioner, very correct. I believe that whatever thing that we should do as citizens, we should have the best interests of this country at our heart. We should be able to know that this life generally, it is temporal. If you terminate the life of one today, you have no...
You will not live forever after.
You will not live forever. You will not live in infinity.
Exactly.
You will certainly reach your own end one day.
All right, Mr. President has just 3 years to exit his office. Using these 3 minutes, how would you forecast his achievement to the blueprint he set for himself?
Yes, the journey...
The 3 areas, the 3 cardinal areas are still the fight against corruption,
the journey is ongoing.
Economy and insecurity.
Yes, they are achievable. They are achievable, and effort towards achieving that have been put in place, you will see that one of the greatest things Mr. President has been trying to do in his administration is to ensuring that the system, the institutions have been strengthened. This is one of the major problems we have in this country. It is a system problem.
Institutions of democracy.
Institutions of democracy, they must have been strengthened to see that it is no longer the issue of personality, but the institution, irrespective of who man the institution, works perfectly. Once that is done, and which is on the line, once it's done, I'm telling you that 50% of Nigerian problem, it would on its own be in shape. Secondly, the issue of fight against corruption. Even though we do see and read every day that efforts by some people to frustrate the fight against corruption have been gaining momentum, we see also, or we believe also, that with this Mr. President's stand on fighting corruption, whether we like it or not, by the time he leaves his office in 2023, corruption would have been curtailed to a barest level. The corruption would have been subdued to a level that we will say the man, Muhammadu Buhari, has tried in curbing corruption in Nigeria.
All right, thank you for coming on Spectacle today on Television Nigerian, Barrister Aliu. That's your surname, or Ilya Aliu?
Yes.
Welcome.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.
I hope when I call on you tomorrow next, you will still answer me.
Very well, anytime.
All right.
Thank you.
And this is where Spectacle will stop today. Do well to follow us on our social media platforms to drop your civil comment. This particular topic will continue. We are trying to unveil and also give solidarity, support to Mr. President and his cabinet to continue to do what is needful, what will emancipate the country from the quagmire of endemic corruption, underdevelopment, and lack of social infrastructural amenities. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. I have been Daniel Atai.
Spectacle. Welcome to Spectacle on Television Nigeria. I am Daniel Atai. Spectacle on Television Nigeria.